This video is a look back at 2024, featuring a painting on screen that I wrapped up the year with. I'll talk more about this painting in a bit, but first, how did my second full year of painting go? So this year I painted 57 paintings, much less than the previous year's 147. Now I'm looking at probably 3 to 5 paintings a month rather than the previous 11 to 14 or 15 per month. So in my first year, I was heavily focused on packing as much practice in as possible. Based on my experience drawing, I figured the learning curve for oil paints was pretty big. Turns out that appears to be true. The curve is actually so large that I think it's measured in decades rather than years, probably. So to say that there's a lot of learning left to do for me is an understatement. In the second year, 2024 was definitely more about bigger scenes with more going on than just a subject. Although I still try to work fast, my average time on each painting has definitely increased. More time and bigger paintings this year, 12 by 12 inches instead of 9 by 12. 3 to 4 hours per painting rather than 1 to 2 hours per painting. I also upgraded some of my materials, including getting a real actual easel, a bigger glass palette, and more of my favorite brushes. So those little quality of life upgrades have actually been bigger than I thought they would be. I didn't want to make those purchases though until I was sure I would actually stick with painting as a hobby, which seems to be the case at this point. So another interesting thing that I did just recently, I created an app for tracking my paintings and art-related transactions. I had been keeping details like the title, size, subject, owner, and all that stuff in a spreadsheet since I started painting. But I came across these like no-code, low-code app builders. Some of the ones that are out there, there's a few, but like Google's App Sheet, and there's one called Glide. And I decided to try building one in AppSheet, and it turned out to be really useful, like more useful than I thought it was going to be beyond a spreadsheet. So like now I can pull up the app that I built on my phone or on my tablet whenever I want to. And like if I just want to enter a new painting or something that I was thinking about on one of the paintings I did, I can do that. So I'll try to embed a quick little video of it in action here. But basically I can catalog by date. There's different tabs. There's a transactions tab, so I can track like prints and commissions. There's a randomized gallery, dashboard, some stats. So let me know if this is actually of interest to anyone out there, and I can do another video specifically on it. But anyways, so what's next for 2025? So I anticipate continuing a lot of the trends that I've already talked about in this video, like spending more time on composition, more time on detail. The painting that I have on screen really exemplifies a lot of what I'm talking about. It's one that I spent more time on than usual, maybe approaching 5 hours total, which is quite a lot for me for a painting. There are obviously a lot of aspects that I want to work on during my third year of painting in 2025, and a lot of those are visible in this piece on screen. So I need to work on hands is one specific thing for sure. One of the things that I've noticed when I was looking back over some of the paintings I did this year, I tend to partially obscure subjects' hands, sometimes not completely, but it seems to be often in a way that it's beneficial to me to make it easier, which really feels like a cop-out now that I'm really thinking about it. So in this painting on screen, I made a point of trying to get that right. Here are the hands, front and center. Here they are, trying to work on those. So I also want to more consistently hit distinct color shapes, like those little blocks and zones of color that I talk about all the time, rather than blending them out all the interesting color and texture, which sometimes I get a little crazy with the blending, and that's not what I want. That's not my intent, so I want to get better there. Keep pushing on that theme. So the piece on screen also features what I think is a fairly natural position and pose for the subject, which is another one of those subtle things that I need more practice with. Intentional things I feel like are really the domain of experienced painters. Setting out to do something, planning it ahead of time, even if it's just in their heads, and then doing it. And truthfully, some of my better paintings tend to feel, to me, almost accidental. But to intentionally build things a certain way, use subtlety to direct the eye or provoke a mood, I want that. I want to get there. So, and to get there consistently. So those actually, I hope they're 2025 goals, but they actually might be like 2026 or 2027 goals. I'm not really sure about that. Might be longer term. So another thing for me to consider, the app that I mentioned, is that something I might want to deploy publicly? I love tinkering with tech-related things, probably a remnant from my old software development days. There'd be some cost up front, but I could actually get this into app stores if I wanted to. So I don't know, is that worth the effort and time? So another thing for this year, for 2025, I'm also writing a book about my experiences learning to paint and kind of the aspects of being a quote unquote self-taught painter, like kind of learning as you go without formal education, kind of writing about that. And it's kind of centered around a lot of the themes in my YouTube videos. So that's another pretty long-term project, though. I don't imagine that'll be done for another year or more. So now that I'm saying all this, though, it actually sounds a little ambitious for a hobbyist. Will I actually have time to paint? I'm sure I'll find time. Sleep's not important, is it? Probably not. So anyhow, I hope your year has been good. Wishing you a happy new year and a great 2025. I hope to see you for the next painting. Thanks.